Welcome back, everybody. I'm not here for a cover song today, unfortunately, but I am here to bring back a series that was dead for at least, I want to say, 6 months, maybe even a year now, that I want to bring back and put a little bit more life into. So this is the continuation of my series called Are You In? Now, what is Are You In? First off, it's a song that I really like from Incubus, and that's where I get the title. It's an idea of being in the know about music that you might not have heard of or given the chance to. And so this is my album review series, and trying to do 5 to 10 minute videos about CDs and what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what I recommend, who I recommend them to. This isn't going to be based on a rating system because it's kind of hard to be like, this album's a 9, this album's a 9, this album's a 9.25, so on and so forth. Then, like, does that mean that this 9 is better than this 9? And, I don't like working with that way. So I instead want to recommend it to people and tell them, you know, everything that I can without giving this a grade. So, of course, Are You In is a working title. So if you have ideas of another title um, that could be more catchy for this series, feel free to let me know in the comments. For today, I am going to be reviewing uh, The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold. Now, people out there who aren't familiar with them might be, I don't know who Avenged Sevenfold is. How about you tell me a little bit? Well, I can do that for you. So, Avenged Sevenfold is a thrash metal band. I believe they're from Huntington County. Um, and they have been around, I want to say, since the early 2000s. They came onto the mainstream, if you can say a mainstream for metal, in the middle to late 2000s with their CD City of Evil. It was their third album, and it came to some pretty critical success for them. That's at least when I heard them. They did have two albums before that, and they've had a couple others after that. So the main people in the band are M Shadows, which is the lead singer. You got Johnny Christ, which I believe is the bassist. Sinister Gates, who's the guitarist, and the Rev, who was the drummer. Now, why do I say was? He worked on 4 or 5 albums and then unfortunately passed away in 2009. And again, why am I bringing this up? Well, it's kind of important to the album review that I'm going to be doing. So, when he passed away, there have been 3 albums since. When he passed away, they were working on their third to last album, Nightmare, which came out in 2010. And Mike Portnoy, the drummer who was originally on Dream Theater, came in to help record the songs that the Rev and everyone else created, and he did a very good job because the Rev is also he was a very good metal drummer. He definitely stood out in the scene, and he was sorely missed on that album. But Mike Portnoy did a fantastic job because he's just as good. The album came out to pretty good success. It was definitely a good tribute to the Rev and his work. Then 2013 comes, and they are working on another CD called Hail to the King, but unfortunately, Portnoy is not with them anymore. So in steps Aaron Ilje. Now I don't really know much about his work, but he doesn't have necessarily the technical skills that either the Rev or Portnoy had, and it definitely shows on the album. They take a more nostalgic thrash style, a la Metallica, a la Iron Maiden, all the early thrash kings. And they do a good job, but with Ilje, unfortunately, he doesn't have the technical work of the other two, so it feels bland. A lot of the stuff does feel bland. I mean, there's some good songs. Yeah, they escaped me for a second. Oh, Shepherd of Fire, of course, is a good one. Um, the Hail to the King was a pretty good one. But as you can see, I'm struggling to remember memorable songs. And it was just a lot of very bland stuff. But there were a couple of interesting ones, like Planets, which kind of ties into this album. Because I feel like Planets was the type of idea, or Requiem, that was the type of idea that they've been looking for. But unfortunately, with ELJ, they weren't able to use that idea the way that they want to. So didn't get much success. It was on my top 50 list of that year, but after listening to it again, I would hesitate to put it back on there. So last year comes around, 2016. They drop a new album. And at first, they bring out The Stage, which was the lead single on their album. And it kind of came out of nowhere, at least for me. I was very surprised to hear it, and I really liked the sound of it. It had kind of that Planets vibe, that kind of progressive feel that they wanted, the kind of unorthodox idea. And it brought back what I loved about Avenged Sevenfold, which is the hard hittingness of it and the very complicated ideas. So I was very excited for it. But even with that, I was not ready for this album. And I'm going to say that for any Avenged Sevenfold fan, you're not going to be ready for this album if you haven't listened to it. It's different from what they've had before. Now, what makes it so different? Well, they bring in a drummer named Brooks Wackerman. Brooks Wackerman has played with different bands. He's worked with Tenacious D as well as Bad Religion. And he comes onto this album, and I really, really, really hope that he stays with them because he is a breath of fresh air for what they need for the drummer. Now, where ELJ didn't have much of the technical work that the rap had, Wackerman makes almost any one of the songs very interesting. You hear it on the stage, it just starting out, just crazy drum work, a lot of fills, a lot of very fast movement. And I'm not a drum expert, so there's a lot of technical terms I can't use. But just in general, the use of fills, drum fills in general, were very, very much a breath of fresh air, as well as his use of space. In one of the songs, Creating God, there's a lot of very sparse kick drum work, which is very, very interesting because he varies it up every single time. And it makes you listen to the drums, whereas you didn't really want to listen to the drums. I almost honestly forgot about the drums in Hail to the King. This one, I listened to the album, and then I listened to it again just for the drums. And that is a very good sign for a very good drummer. And it helps out with the rest of the band. Now, on Hail to the King, because of the lack of technical work, I feel like Sinister Gates and M Shadows had to try to bring their game up a little bit more just to make the songs interesting. And in this case, because Wackerman is so good, it brings Sinister Gates and M Shadows to a much higher level. M Shadows sounds like he's having fun. Sinister Gates has some of his best guitar solos that he's ever had. And even on like ballads like Angels, the drum work is still very, very interesting. So that is definitely the biggest pro that I can give out there. Wackerman, I hope you stay on for Avenged Sevenfold because they sorely need it. You are the drummer that they have been waiting for since the Rev. And I'm very interested to see what you can bring out next. So that's a big pro. I will also say the variedness of the songs in general. Very, very, very progressive album. Actually, in the terms of progressive, I would say like a general progressive metal. This is on the higher side of it. So it's definitely out there for a lot of different songs. And another thing that I really like about this album is the different concepts that they talk about on this album. It's definitely all over the place, but there's a lot of kind of endgame Armageddon type of feels. I mean, you start with The Stage, which is talking about how the media has a hold on everybody and just twisting everybody's minds, and then you got paradigm, which is to talk about nanobots and how they can help us out and make us healthier, but also we would lose part of ourselves through that. There's Sunny Disposition, which is talking about nuclear war and trying to put a light on it. There's Goddamn, which is talking about the fall of government. And then there's Creating God, which is talking about the rise of the power of machines and us idolizing these machines, knowing that these machines don't need us. What else? You got Angels, which is talking about a lack of faith in religion. You have Simulation, which is talking about a matrix idea, like saying that all these things in life are a fallacy and we're just all in an illusion. You got Higher, which is about a astronaut on a failed NASA space mission, and he's out there alone waiting to die so he can see the rest of his comrades who have passed. You've got Roman Skies, which is about the burning of, I want to get the name right. His name is Giordano Bruno, who was one of the first people to talk about the idea of the universe and that and the many different planets in general, and he was burned for his heresy. Then you got Fermi paradox, and for those who don't know what the Fermi paradox is, it's the idea that there is so many different stars out there that there should be life. We should be able to see it, and yet we haven't found anything. That's the Fermi paradox. And then the final song, the grand piece, is a 15-minute epic called Exist. Now, Exist, they say it sonically, musically, it's their version of the Big Bang. You got like 6 minutes of an instrumental, and it's the idea of the creating of the universe, and how the universe is here, and then M Shadows has his little part, and then for like the last 3 minutes, you got Neil fucking deGrasse Tyson talking about the idea of the universe and how insignificant everything is. So very, very interesting album in general. Very different ideas from what they've done before. They've done a lot of ideas about war and soldiers and a lot of different things. And it's great to see this side because I don't hear a lot of people talking about a lot of this stuff. So a lot of very good pros. Now a couple cons. This isn't necessarily the most fun album to listen to. It's a very interesting album to listen to, but it's not going to be fun in the sense of, any other type of music that you would listen to, even on a metal standard. I don't necessarily sing any of these songs. I enjoy them, but I don't think that they're fun. So if this is already a type of music that you don't listen to, it might be a little bit harder for you to start with this. It is also a pretty long CD. It's 73 minutes. It is their longest album, and it has their longest song as the last song. Now, I don't necessarily find a problem with that, but I know people with shorter attention spans may not, be able to sit there and just listen to it all. However, it is a very, very good CD. I almost had it in my top 10 for this year. I think I had it at 11, and there's a very good reason why. I had it in my top 10 until the last second. So it's definitely worth listening to. Now, who should listen to it? If you are a beginner metal fan, it might not be the CD for you. If you are a beginner progressive fan, maybe also not the CD for you. You might want to start out with some Dream Theater or some Rush or Tool or Yes, or maybe some Genesis, more casual progressive. But if you have those already there, definitely give it a chance. It's definitely an interesting CD to listen to at least once. For Avenged Sevenfold fans, if you like the previous stuff, that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to like this one. And if you like Hail to the King, you are not going to like this one. I will wholeheartedly say that. So give it a chance. You never know. I would say listen to it. It's a CD that deserves to be listened to once. It's a very, very good CD. in terms of my my rankings, it's probably third right now. City of Evil is definitely my number one. Nightmare is near and dear to my heart, so that's my number two. I would say right now this is a solid three in terms of their discography. But it's also just very interesting to look at the last three albums and see how different each of them are. So even if you want to do that, if you have the time, listen to Nightmare, listen to Hail the King, see the differences, and then listen to the stage. Because all three of them have their own different ideas, and it's kind of interesting to look at a legacy of a band that way. So anyways, that's my first one. It did go a little bit long, but that's because I'm still trying to take all the kinks out and try to make this as streamlined as possible. So if you did like this, please let me know. Of course, you can always like the video. You could comment and let me know what I could do better, what I can take out, or if you feel like this is like the perfect amount of time. I'm always going to play with this until I feel like this is the right way. Of course, you can share this, and also just comment on CDs that you would like me to listen to and review. I'm also willing to do reviews with friends as well if you ever want to do that. And I'm also looking to try doing a couple of different things. I want to try possibly reviewing a whole entire band and doing it CD by CD and doing like a series that way, where each week I'll do a new one. So if you like that and you want to throw out a band for me to listen to, of course, that'd be awesome as well. And then finally, and most importantly, I've talked about it before, but what makes this so much more knowing that I'm doing the right thing, because I want to be able to put this as part of my job. I could have a profession in doing album reviews or doing music in general, and I want to do that with my life, but I also have to make sure that I have the right people behind me and the people that I know who are interested. And that's why I ask every single video to please take that extra second to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, click the link and subscribe. That lets me know that what I'm doing is reaching you guys and is very interesting, and knows from me that I can work on this and potentially have this as a job, whether it is the album review or it is arranging music or writing music or singing. And that would be the biggest thing for me. So if you don't do any of those, please subscribe. That's it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and look forward to the next album review. I'm not exactly sure which one it will be just yet. And also, of course, look out for my next cover song. Until then, peace.